Hi everyone. In last sessions, what we discussed? So we discussed models concept and we discussed the environment concept. So by using of the model concepts, we created our three resources in our AWS account. So we created the S3 bucket, then we created the RDS and EC2 machine. These three services we created by using of the model concept. After that, we discussed environment concept. So what is the purpose of the environment? Environment is nothing but suppose we have the one project here and I want to create it the already we discussed here. Suppose I want to create it the infrastructure for the dev environment, then I want to create the infrastructure for the SIT environment. Different environment I want to create it and different infrastructure. Then what we have to do here? So we have to go with at that time environment concept. So what is the purpose of the environment? Environment is nothing but so we are providing the dynamic value in our shell. We can say called as a here we are providing the dynamic value in our PowerShell. So we are providing the dynamic value in the runtime and we will change the our environment and we will create the infrastructure according to your requirement, right? So already we discussed here how to create it. Suppose we I want to create it the infrastructure for the dev environment, then this is my command. So earlier we were using of the apply command. After that I'm applying here the some filters we can say called as a. So this is we can whenever we're talking about of the real time, then we can say called as a, this is the environment. But as per our understanding, just we are saying here the we are applying the filters. So whenever we apply the filters here, then we will create the infrastructure for that particular the environment. So suppose I want to create the one infrastructure for my different environment. Today we will see here how to create it different infrastructure for the different environment. Suppose if we are creating here the test EC2, this is my folder. In this folder I want to create it the infrastructure. So we are going to create it one EC2 machine for the day environment, for the prod environment, SIT environment. So here we are going to create it the separate file for the variables for the particular of the environment. Suppose whenever we're talking about here the suppose whenever we have the T3 macro, this is instance. So this is the instance we are using for the dev environment. But I want to use the some more configuration files here. I want to large machines use in my production environment. Then what we have to do here? We have to change the value here. But whenever we changing the value every time manually, is it recommended approach? No, this is not recommended approach, because every time we are going to change the value, that time suppose whenever we going to change the manually, sometimes we will mistake in that and we will create the wrong infrastructure in our project. So that's why we have to maintain the separate variable file for the different environment. Based on your requirement, we have to go with different environment files here. But here whenever we're talking about here the earlier terraform.tf, but why we are getting this one vars here? So last time we created this one. So you can observe here I created the one variable files. In that variables files, this is my EC2 instances parameter, this is my bucket parameter, this is my RDS services parameter. These three parameters we created in our one variable files. But whenever we're talking about this one, so this is my initialization in the Terraform. So any of the languages, whenever we're talking about whenever we're representing the data type, how many ways we can represent the data type? First we need to the declare the data type, and after that we need to the initialize. Suppose I'm talking about of the Java here. Suppose I want to declare the one variable, then what we have to do here? Suppose this is my integer, but here right now I'm representing this variable in single line. So we are initializing and we are declaration and we are initializing, this is the single line. But I don't want to um, like this. So I want to mention like this: first declaration, and after that initialization. Then what you have to do here, then we have to go with like this. So we can represent data in the separate way, otherwise we can represent the data in the single line. So it depends on you, but whenever we're talking about of the Terraform, same thing we are following the here. Okay, so we created the Terraform vars. In that Terraform vars we initialize the data, and already we declare here the map variables here. So you can see here the variable AMI, the description, then type. This is my declaration and this is my initialization. So once we declare the variable, then we are initializing the variables in this file. So that's why we are going to use here the concept. So whenever we creating of the any of the infrastructure, at that time we have to go like this, because so why we are going like this, because it will be readable, it will be more readable, it will be maintainable, and it will be scalable, so everyone can understand what we are going to create it here. So that's why we are following these here. Okay, you can see here this is my one data type, so we can represent the data type, declaration and initialization in single line. I don't want to like this, then you can declare here, you can initialize here. This is the second way. Okay, so whenever we're talking about here the variable, same thing for the Terraform. So we are declaring the variables in the variable, and we are initializing the uh, Terraform script in our tf.var. So that's why I have mentioned like this here. Okay. So I want to create it here the here I want to create it the one EC2 machine for the different environment. Then how we can go with here? So first of all we have to create it the provider file. So what is the purpose of the provider file? Provider file is nothing but whenever we're talking about of the provider file here, I will copy this provider file in this. Okay, but I want to change some values here. So in the provider file, we are representing the which type cloud computing we are using here, and region is already mentioned here, and access key and secret key. These secret key, access key, where we have to use it, we have to store in our Word. But right now, just for beginner, as a beginner, we are creating here the provider. I will show you later on. Okay, so after that what we have to do here, so I want to first of all declare the my variables. Okay, so uh, any suppose whenever we going to create it any variable, at that time first of all we have to declare the variables. Okay, so this is the variable, so we are declaring the variable. In that declaring the variable, what are the parameters we require for the EC2 machines? I require the AMI, then I require the instance type, then I require the key name, then whenever we're talking about of the uh, three parameters only we required here. After that key name. Okay, so after that you can mention like this here, so environment. Okay, so I will add some parameters here like this. Suppose AWS region, I don't want to variable this one, already we provided region here. Okay, so otherwise you can keep as it is here, AWS region description, then type. This is my first variable I'm going to declare here. After that what type of the environment I want to create it, so here I'm going to mention like this description and variable. I'm going to declare one variable here, then after that I'm representing here the which type data it is, so it is the string type data. After that I'm representing here the AMID. After that I'm going to add here the instance types, then after that I'm going to add here the key name. These are the variables I declare in my variables.tf file. After that what we have to do here, so I want to initialize this variable. Then what we have to do here, so we have to create it one variable file here. Okay, so I'm going to create it one variable file that's called as a dev.tf.was. So my requirement is here, I want to create it the one variable file. suppose I want this is my Terraform script. In this Terraform script, this Terraform script we are using the multiple times for the multiple environment. So that's why we are going to create it here the environment concept here. So my requirement is here. Let me check. Let me delete this one also. Okay. So I think let me check. Okay. So no machines. Okay. So here I'm going to declare initializing the variable. How to initialize the variable? What type of parameters we variable declared here? We declare the variable environment env instance type key name. These are the parameters so we are going to initialize here. So this is my dev environment because we are going to create it here the EC2 machine for the dev environment here. After that, I want to create the one EC2 machine for the production environment. Then what we have to do here? So we have to go with prod.tf.vars. Okay. So in this tf.vars file, so we are going to create it like this here. So I'm going to create it the environment, then prod, then same thing. So just I have mentioned here the prod environment. After that, uh, I don't want to create it the builds. So I don't want to generate the builds. So that's why I'm going to create it here the t3 dot t3 dot micro. Okay. So it was in my machines in my AWS account t3.micro here. Okay. So if you want to create it for the medium large, you can use it. Okay. Otherwise, that is sufficient for us micro because just we are going to create it here the machines in the different environment. Okay. But whenever we created the large configuration machines here, then we will be generated for the. So that's why I'm going to keep as it is here. Okay. So these are the parameters we completed for the dev environment. We declare, then we initialize, then after that we created the provider. Okay. After that, what files we required here? So we required the main.tf file. So why we required? Because we need to the mention the what type of resources we are going to create it, and in that we are going to create it the tag names also, and we are going to mention the my machine's reference name also. Okay. So here every Terraform script we have the one main.tf file here. So I'm going to create it here the main.t. Okay. So this is main.tf file. So this is the resources. This is the AWS instances I want to create it. Then EC2 reference name. Then AMI. Then instance type key name. So I'm calling these parameters in my main.tf file. Then after that I'm going to mention like this tags name. But here you can see different thing here. Why we are going to create it here like this? Because I want to generate the runtime environment. So suppose we are going to create it for the dev environment, then it will be take the tag name for the dev environment. So that's why I want to represent it like this dynamic value. Then we have to go with dollar symbol, then open curly braces, close curly braces, and then we have to call this parameters here. So environment dot vars. So we are calling this in this main dot pm var dot environment. Then suppose I'm going to create it the EC2 machine for the prod environment. Then it will be take name the prod EC2 machine. So it will be change the value based on our dynamic value. So suppose we are going to provide it the we are applying the dynamic value here the for prod environment, then it will be take the prod. Suppose we are going to create it for the U8 environment, then it will be take the U8 environment. Suppose I'm going to create it for the SIT environment, then it will be create the SIT environment. So these are the things so we created here. Okay. But what we have to do here? So we created here the one Terraform script for the my EC2 machines. But whenever we're talking about here the first of all what we have to do here, so we have to apply the init command. So what is the purpose of the init command? So init command is nothing but whatever we require the initialize the value for the my Terraform for my EC2 machines, then we are initializing here the value. You can also you can see here the Terraform initialize empty directory because right now we are in the Terraform directory. So we have to go in this folder. So how to go in this folder? Test, then EC2. Okay. So after that, I'm just clear here. Okay. So first of all, we are going to apply here the init command. So whatever we provided the plugins, so we are going to add it from the Terraform side. Once we apply the init command here, you can see here the in license text file is generated and exe file is generated here. So it will be take some time. After that, what we have to do here? So yes, we completed here. Then what we are going to apply second command. So I'm applying here the validate command. What is the purpose of the validate command? Validate command is nothing but is there any syntactically error in my Terraform script? Then it will be applied and it will be show that there is a issue in our syntactically in our Terraform script. So you can see here the configuration is success. We don't have any invalid syntax in my Terraform script. After that, what we have to do here? So here have to apply we have to apply the command, but whenever we are going to create it the apply command, then what will be happen? Then it will be created the dev environment as well as prod environment. But I don't want to like this. First of all, I want to create the environment for the dev environment. Then after that, I want to create the sometime after some time I got a one requirement, then I want to create the one EC2 machine for the prod environment. Then what we have to do here? Then we have to create the prod tf.vars file. Then here I want to create it for the EC2 machine for only dev environment. Then what we have to do here? We have to apply the var command. We have to apply the environment concept here. Then sorry, single dash then file, then equal then dev, then tf.vars. So what we are going to apply here? So we are going to create it for the dev environment only. So that's why I'm calling these variables only. After that, I'm not going to create it for the prod environment, and I'm not going to create it for the other environments here. So once we apply, then you can see here what happened. So we missed here something here. Terraform apply then where dot sorry not dot file dev dot tf vars. So it will be created the EC2 machine for the, yes, it is asking me. So AWS region, because we already declare the one variable, so that's why it is showing like this. Already I provided the region in my provider.tf file, so you can enter like this, yes. Okay. After that, it will be ask me same question. So you can see here the we missed something here. So retrieving the AWS, the provider credentials, status code 403. So we missed something here in the providers. Okay. Provider.tf, in this provider.tf, what we missed here? So already oh, let me check. I used here the wrong credentials. So this is my, let me verify access key for my I am user, where we can see go to the I am user, then I am credentials. In this I am credential, so it's a UGR. This is my, yes, this is the correct. So earlier we used wrong credentials, so that's why it is not going to create it here. I'm applying here the same command here. So we are going to create it the Terraform. Yes, I want to create it like this. What happened? Let me give me 1 minute. So here you can see other. So due to some apply command is cancelled from my end. So I'm going to apply again once again. So yes, it will be asked for me same question. Then we want to enter here yes. Before going to yes, here you can see other plan. In this plan we have the three parameters. One is the add. If you want to change, then you can modify your resources. If you want to destroy, then you can destroy your resources. Then right now what we are going to here, we are going to add one EC2 machine for the dev environment. So that's why we can see like this here, the want to add here. Yes, I want to add here. You can see here the my state file will be generated here, and you can see here the do have any EC2 machine in my AWS account. Here instance, go to the dashboard. In this dashboard you can see here the we are going to create it here the EC2 machine for the day environment. So successfully we created here the one EC2 machine here for the dev environment. After that, after some time, I got a one requirement here. I want to create it here the EC2 machine for the prod environment. Then what we have to do here, we have to go same like this. So but here before going to like this, I'm applying here. I will apply the plan and I will show here what will be happen here once we apply the same like this. Then what we have to do here, so then we have to go with var, then hyphen, then file, then what double quote here, then prod.tf vars. Okay, here you can see here the once we are going to apply the plan, are we going to add any resources or are we going to modify the resources? You can see here what exactly we are doing. Here you can see the one is added, zero is changed, zero is destroyed. But here you can see whenever we are applying the plan here, so it is showing me, so you are adding the zero resources here for the production environment. So we are modifying the your resources here. So what is the issue here? So already one state file is created for my EC2 machine. Then it will be allowed to me. No, it won't be allowed to me going to create the new EC2 machine for the prod environment. So it is not allowing to me because already we created the one state file here. Suppose if we someone is asked me, you can delete the state file and you can create the EC2 machine for the prod environment. Then what will be happen here? Then we are not maintaining our resources track files. So what is the purpose of the state file? By using of the state file, we can easily track our resources. So that's why we have the state file here. So you can see here that I'm going to add any resources here. No, I'm not going to add any resources. I'm going to change the resources. Then what will be happen here? So before we created the dev environment for the EC2, we created the one EC2 machine for the dev environment. But right now, what we are going to create it here, we are going to create it here the EC2 machine for prod environment. But what will be happen here? It will be remove the previous machine. Is this a recommended approach? No, this is not recommended approach here. Suppose whenever we here you can see here the we have the same like this, but I want to change here, so I'm deleting this parameter. Then what will be happen here in the you can see here the Observe here what will be happen in my AWS account. Then it will be delete the previous here. Let me verify. Yes, you can see here the whenever we are applying to, we are going to modify it here. Okay, so you can see here the we are going to add here the 0, but we are change the one value here, one modified value here. Okay, so you can see here the what will be happen in my AWS account here. In AWS account, so it is the deleted. Let me remove filter here. So all state we have the files here. So it is going to delete it. You can see here the prod one EC2 machine is created for the prod environment. And what will be happen? My previous machine is deleted. Why? Because we have the state file in the same, we have the folder. So that's why we are not going to create it here the EC2 machine for the different environment. Then what we have to do here? So we have to go with workspace concept here. So whenever we are applying the environment concept, that is the fine. But in this, whenever we are applying the environment concept in the same folder, then what will be happen here? Then it will be created the same resources with same configuration, but we are deleting the previous resources. I don't want to follow this one. I want to create it the new resources for every environment. Then what we have to do here? We have to go with workspace concept. Whenever we're talking about of the workspace, so this is my same Terraform script. So whenever we're going to here one Terraform script, so we can run this Terraform script multiple times for the multiple environment. Then but at that time, what we have to do here? We have to go with workspace concept here. Suppose if we are not using of the workspace concept, then what will be happen here? So we are creating the one Terraform. We are going to create it one EC2 machine for the previous environment. We are going to create it the one EC2 machine for the new environment, and we are deleting the EC2 machine for the previous environment. Then this is not recommended approach. I don't want to delete it, any of the resources whatever we created. Then what we have to do here? We have to go with workspace concept here. So whenever we're talking about of the workspace is nothing like this. So suppose we have the different environment here, same like this we have the different workspaces. Suppose we have the dev environment, then dev environment workspace, then sit environment workspace, then uat environment workspace, then prod environment workspace. What is the advantage for the workspace? So we are applying the same script for the multiple times by using of the workspace concept. Suppose we are not going to create it the workspace, at that time what will be happen? We are going to create it the just we are modifying the resources again and again. So that is the disadvantages. So whenever we're talking about of the here right now, so I want to check the how many workspaces are available in my current folder. So then how to check it here? So I want to check the how many workspaces in my current EC2 this EC2 folder, how many workspaces I want to check. Then what we have to do here? We have to go with like this workspace, then list. So only one workspace will be available in my Terraform. So it is going to create it from the only Terraform set that is called as a default workspace. So that's why we are not going to create it the different resources for the different environment, because we are in the in default workspaces. So I'm going to create it the EC2 machine for the dev environment in the same workspace. I'm going to create it the one EC2 machine for the prod environment. So that's why we are not, it is not allowing to me to create the new resources. So it is the modifying my resources. So that is not recommended approach here. So I want to create the new workspace. Then what we have to do here, we have to go with workspace, then new, then I'm going to like this. So how many environment, based on your environment you can create it the workspaces here. So you can see here the created and switch to the workspace to the dev environment. I want to verify my workspace is created or not. You can see here the Terraform workspace list. In this Terraform workspace list you can see here the how many workspaces we have right now, default and dev. So I want to switch, then you can switch that workspace. Okay, after that I want to create the one another workspace for me. Then what we have to do here, we have to go with like this prod here. Then it will be create and it will be switch to that workspace. You can see here the created and switch to the workspace for the prod. So we are going to create it for the QA environment. Then what we have to do here, same like this, we have to follow the pattern. So here you can see here the right now where we are in the prod environment. Okay, so I want to create it another let me okay, so I want to create it the EC2 machine for the prod environment. Already we created one EC2 machine for the prod environment, but where we are in, we already we created the one EC2 machine in the default workspace. So I'm going to like this. Whenever we are applying like this here, then what will be happen here, you can see here the, so first we apply here the plan. Are we going to modify it or are we going to add the resources here? You can see here, yes, we are going to add here the one resources for my production environment. So we are applied here the workspace and we are going to create it here the EC2 machine by using of the different environment. So here what we have to, so yes, so if you want to auto approve, then you can auto approve also here. Okay, here I'm going to create it one EC2 machine for the prod environment. So you can enter anything here because already I hard coded value in this provider.tf. So that's why I'm not. So let me, yes, I want to go with. You can see here the how many works are we going to delete it or are we going to create it here. Let me change the filter. Yes, you can see here the, okay, you can see here the we are going to create it one EC2 machine for my prod environment. So this is the prod environment. So we created one EC2 machine for the prod environment in our default workspace. This EC2 machine we created in my prod workspaces. So same like this, I want to create it one EC2 machine for my dev environment. Then what we have to do here, every time we are going to like this Terraform workspace new environment. No, first time whenever we use, at that time it will be create the workspace and it will be switched to that workspace. So I want to select it that workspace for the dev environment. Then what we have to apply here, that we have to go with Terraform workspace, select, then dev environment, then dev environment. Once we apply the dev environment, then we will switch to prod to the dev environment here. You can see here the switch to the workspace and dev environment. Then I'm going to create it here the one works EC2 machine for my dev environment. So just we are applying the environment here. So we created the different environment variable files. So we are using the variable files for the same script. But whenever you can see here the whenever we apply here the same command for the dev environment, here you can see here the one state file is generated here. So whenever we created the workspace in our project, then it will be created the separate state file and it will be created according to the workspace wise. We can see the state file here. Then we are maintaining the separate state file for the different environments here. So you can see here the we are added here. So it will be create the earlier it was single state file, but whenever we use the workspace concept in our Terraform, then we created the one state file folder. In that state file folder, then we are maintaining the separate state file for the different workspaces. So you can see here the are we going to create it here or we are going to replace. You can see here the successfully we are going to create it here the EC2 machine for the dev environment for the prod. So one is a for the default workspace, one is a for the prod environment, and one is a EC2 machine for the dev environment for my dev workspace. So I want to create the one EC2 machine for the default workspace. Then what we have to do here? We have to follow the same thing here. Terraform workspace select default. Then we have to apply the command. So whenever we are applying the apply command, are we going to create the duplicate resources in our AWS account? No, we are not going to create the duplicate resources. It is not allowing to me uh, from the AWS side whenever we are applying the same Terraform script. Then that's why we have to use it here the workspace concept. So already we discussed. So we are applying the same Terraform scripts. Then are we going to add or are we going to modify it? So if there is a modification, then we will get it. Otherwise, we are not going to add. Number of multiple times whenever we apply, then we are not going to create the multiple times machines here. So I want to create the two EC2 machines. Then what you have to do here? Just we have to add here the one count here. So just we have to add the count here in my day environment. Then I want to create the count like this. Then you can create it like this. Okay. So if you want to create the multiple, then we have to go with count variable. Okay. So after that, suppose here you can see the one state file is created for the dev environment. One state file we created for the prod environment. Then what is the meaning here? So we can easily track our resources by using of the state file. So I want to create it one another EC2 machine for the QA environment. Then what we have to do here? We have to go with like this. So I'm going to create it one another file here. So I'm going to here QA environment. Okay. So again I got a one requirement. Then do I need to write it the code from the starting? No, I don't want to create it the from the starting code provided main.tf variable like this. No, just we have to change the initialize the value here, and we have to change the parameters. What type of the parameters I want to create it? Suppose I want to create it for the small, then we can go with small, we can go with medium. So just single line we need to the change it. Okay, here. So that is the things here whenever we are going to create it. So then what we have to do here? First we have to create the Terraform workspace new, then QA. So we are going to create the Terraform workspace new QA. So are we going to create a new workspace? Yes, we are going to create the new workspaces, and we are switched here in this QA workspace. Okay. First time whenever we create it, it will be create and it will be switched to that workspace. Okay. Then what we have to do here? We have to go with like this. So just within the second we can create the our resources for the particular of the environment. You can see here, are we going to create it or not here? So it will be take some time. No, we have to apply. Yes, you can enter anything here because I added here the region. So I want to provide it the dynamic value for the region. Then you can provide it. So you can see here the yes, I want to create it. We are going to create it here. The are we going to change? No, we are not going to change. We are not going to destroy. So that is the called as a workspace. Here you can see here that we are going to create it for the EC2 machines QA the T3.micro. But you can observe here, are we going to hard coded value for the tag name? No, we are not going to added the any hard coded value in the tag. We use here the dynamic value in my main.tf. So whenever we are apply the environment, then it will be take that environment name and it will be create that EC2 machine. So this is the EC2 and it will be created the QA. It will be created for prod. So you can add anything here. Suppose we are applying like this EC2 machine, then you can add it. So it depends on you. This is the hard coded value, but this is the dynamic value based on our requirement we are providing, we are created here. So every time whatever we want to create it the dynamic value, then we have to follow like this dollar symbol, then open curly braces and close curly braces, and we have to call that variables. Then it will be created the environment. Where we mention here, you can see here the we already declare here the environment. We declare already here and we are initializing here. You can see here the this is the environment we are calling in this main.tf here. Okay. So that is the thing. So this is the initialization. So this is my environment variable. So we are calling the var. So that's why we are mentioned like this var dot environment. Okay. I think that's it for the workspace and environment concept. So we completed here. But what is the advantages for the workspace and environments here? Suppose I want we created one Terraform script. So I want to apply the this Terraform script for the multiple environment. Then we can create it here the suppose we created here the EUAT environment, we created dev environment, we created SIT environment, we created here the prod environment. Then only one Terraform script we can apply and we can create the resources, we can create the infrastructure by using of single Terraform script for the multiple environment. So this is the advantages for the workspace and environment concept here. So I think that's it for the today workspace and uh, environment concept. In upcoming sessions, we will cover our next topic. So we will start our world and security related concept in our Terraform in upcoming session. Thank you guys.